Welcome to episode 3 of Pipe gDAO. Yeah, Noodle, have you seen the movie Man of Steel?
I have. I remember watching that quite a while ago, yeah.
And guess what? Our last blog was written by a man of steel, the
It
Noodle himself.
it
And this blog
was.
is also written by a man of steel. Would you like to know who that is? Yes, it's
Yeah.
Robert James Steele,
Yes.
with an E at the end. And that's already two Steels that have written a blog, and I have yet to write mine.
I know you need to hurry up, man, honestly.
Yeah, I need to hurry up and to learn how to write in English. I hope I can learn this, and so I can write as good as a steel noodle.
As the steels.
A steel noodle, not a wet noodle, but a steel noodle.
A steel noodle, strong hearty noodle.
Yeah, it's probably also inedible, which is the whole point of the noodle, but sure. And today we're talking about the article not on our blog, but actually on LinkedIn. You can find this in our socials. It's the evolution of hashtag DeSci, or DeSci, but it's actually pronounced DeSci, I was told. The evolution of DeSci could solve some of the world's biggest problems, but could also cause some of its biggest losses. And first of all, we have to establish what is DeSci, because, excuse me, what DeSci is. I gotta respect grammar. I know that British would be quite upset if I didn't actually correct myself.
I would be absolutely furious with you.
Yeah, yeah, that's how it feels like. Come on, I know you want me. I know you want to correct me.
I'll let it slide.
But first, did you know that even top companies like Coinbase struggle with talent retention, averaging just about 0.8 years, so under 1 year? Web3 faces a big problem with unqualified applicants, some scammers, overall CV spammers, leading to short-term hires. Applications lack passion, they are misaligned with the project ethos. This disconnect reduces long-term commitment to missions and goals. Well, Arbito fixes this. Arbito is a limited membership Web3 jobs platform that combines AI tools, vetting, and job management tools, as well as third-party ad boosts. We are maximizing the number of eyeballs on your job post. Join today by going to our link tree in the description and look for arbito.io. So, DeSci is one of the industries that we are in. Of course, there is refi that we talked about last time, but as a little reminder, it talks about regenerative finance. Just like there are farms that could produce results from mistreating the animals, there are also regenerative farms that are in harmony with nature. And that's how similarly the same logic applies to refi. Now we're talking about DeSci, which is decentralized science. When talking about DeSci, it cannot be removed from the company called Molecule because they essentially coined this, and there are many DeSci popular projects that came out of it, such as there's HairDAO, there is CryoDAO, there is BioDAO, or what was BioDAO incubation, but either way, there are quite a few of them, including Vitality DAO, Athena DAO, and a few more. I could remember if you could give me some time. And that is DeSci, but our approach is different from how DeSci normally works because it operates the way Molecule operates, as in they would incubate a program, and if it gets enough funding, then it becomes its own separate entity and goes to fund itself later on themselves. They get completely separated. It's like a bird pushing out its chick so that the chick could become independent. Fly or die, I guess. Quite literally. And yeah, so that is essentially a quick introduction into DeSci. We do things our own way. We don't actually incubate individual projects, but that's a bit for later. So it reads. Yes, I'm reading a blog this time. Imagine. It will be my first read blog. That's a reference for a previous episode. You can go and watch it. I said that my aspiration is to someday read a blog, and today it's finally happening. I'm actually
I
going to
know
read one
it's
blog.
a very big day for us.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. I appreciate having all of you with me on this important day. The DeSci hashtag and the general momentum behind its growing is expected to blossom through Q4 2024. Spoiler alert, that is now, and into 2025. That companies just like ours should be excited about. I'm sure that all of the DeSci protocols that have been here for like a few years by now. There's also, if you want to know more about DeSci, there's DeSci London, there's DeSci Berlin, and even though it's in Berlin, Germany, it is actually in English, so you can watch it. And one of the reasons why we do stuff differently is that because we believe that not everyone is capable exactly of having an adequate level of skepticism and due diligence in order to actually pick those DeSci projects.
Exactly. Unless you've spent significant time around research universities or anything sort of associated with technology of these universities that they're creating.
Imagine being a nerd.
Exactly. Imagine being, I was about to say a loser, but that's literally what we do. But again, yeah, imagine if you've spent all your time around these universities, either as like maybe an investor or commercialization expert, you will be, forgiven for assuming that the quality of the university is always high. However, there's a sort of a growing idea around academic research that's either outright fraudulent or even fake, with 1 in 5, that being 20% of papers being cited as science scam. And
You mean
34%.
You mean that sometimes those guys with glasses are wrong?
Sometimes they are wrong.
No
Sometimes they
way.
are incorrect. I know. 35% of those 1 in 5. So 34% of the 20%, if that makes sense, are neuroscience papers, and 25% are medical papers being faked and / or plagiarized.
No way.
I know.
That's shocking.
I mean, could you imagine plagiarizing a university project? I would never do that.
Yeah, we know a thing or two about AI and
Mm.
ChatGPT type of problems when writing our university assignments. I mean, unfortunately, when I was writing mine, there was no ChatGPT back then.
Exactly. Yeah.
It appeared like a year later or so. So unfortunately, I missed that window, and I couldn't just. Excuse me. I would never plagiarize anything. Of course, I would never plagiarize anything. I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying that it didn't appear and I didn't use it, but I'm not saying that I actually would use it. No, that would never happen. And as you may know, a lot of universities are, let's say, political. The vast majority of universities are essentially government funded, at least over in the UK. And we are talking about UK universities, at least for the time being, because the Pipe Company is. Pipe Company and PGF Launchpad are based in UK, so that's primarily the clients that we are working with right now. Not the clients, the university projects. The clients are separate beings, but whatever. When we're talking there, a lot of it is actually political. And if we have half of the country believing one thing, the other country, half of the country believing the other thing, and that comes to science as well. The two wings a lot of times disagree on the base science behind some of the projects. That means somebody has to be wrong, and that puts a lot of question into who is right, and by extension, that uh, a lot of the projects are going to be wrong from the get-go on its very foundation. And did you know that 90%, roughly 90% of all projects that are at angel investor or early VC level actually fail within the first 4 years? That might sound to you a lot like Web3. And yeah, because it does. In Web3, it's also a very high failure rate. So if you take that 90% failure rate for specifically academic research projects, and then an additional 20 to 34% risk of being outright fraudulent, not just wrong because they assumed the wrong foundation, but actually being fraudulent, actually scamming, then that really makes a very narrow margin for success. You would need to operate within, let's say, 10%, another 20. That leaves you with like 7 to 8% chance of you have to find the 7 to 8% of project that would actually be the ones you would want to invest.
Stop. Are you looking for a way to make passive income with your online business with a quality partnership that has low startup costs? And the Pipe Affiliates and Referrals is for you. An affiliate is an individual or business that helps promote the Pipe services in exchange for a commission on the sales or leads that generate from their links. To do this, you'll need to join an affiliate program with Pipe, promote Pipe with unique tracking links on your websites, blogs, or social media, or any other channels. You will then go on to earn any commission made when a new user clicks your link and makes a purchase. Go to www.thepipecompany.co.uk/associates-affiliates to become an affiliate with the Pipe program today and start generating passive income with long-term potential. Okay, and then now we've been greeted with a big graph with a big list. So we're just going to read through that quickly. So obviously early stage, like Sleazy mentioned, early stage or pre-seed/seed investments are high risk with 90% of them failing. Principal risk is high as investors focus on what they know. Due diligence is often, what's that, less than 20 hours? Thus increasing failure rates. Easy comparison of projects across themes is difficult, and then the standard metrics and outputs to compare are quite difficult. Decision making can often be an emotional thing. You don't know whether you want to do it or not. University projects lack leadership teams, which again equates to high risk. Universities are different and want different things, and it's a difficult space to invest in. It's complex and it's political. Current university output also lacks standard metrics and quality, under-considered routes to market, necessant solutions at TRL, which is ultra early, lack of commercial planning and understanding, and lack of commercial knowledge and experience. Naive structures, which then goes on to demands on investors.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like we could benefit from an entity, do a lot of this stuff for us instead of worrying
Exactly.
about it. An entity that we could trust and have someone who has extensive experience with such type of investing and picking out projects. You think we could benefit from that? Maybe. Yeah, I think just getting drunk and picking a project might also work. Don't you think? And now, speaking about our own DAO, because we are a DAO, and by DAO means that we tokenize the IP, so intellectual property, and split it into tokens, and then we have people invest into our tokens, and then they get governance rights, and yeah, stuff like that. So, given well, not just DAOs, but in general, how would we actually make this process works if the failure rate is so high, and the investors oftentimes do not have a good way to actually determine what is a good investment and what isn't? Of course, DeSci has not existed for long enough, so we cannot actually draw too many conclusions. It's been like what, like 2 to 3 years, maybe, that Molecule has actually coined the term and started producing quite a few projects with it. But we can talk about our own history, as Rob explains. Over the last several months, maybe even a year, but at least on the blocks it says months, they've been approached by several entities who wanted to do something similar. And one of the issues that we see they are going to face, but a lot of them are oblivious of it, is that if they actually go to those projects and offer some investment as well as let's just say management over the funding part, a lot of them just assume that the TTO, so Technology Transfer Office, will be more than happy to relinquish control to them and let them do their thing with no interference. But in reality, it is, in the vast majority of situation, is not the case. They are going to have their own set of rules. They're going to have their own culture because, remember, scientists are not businessmen. They have their own worldview that they have. A lot of the times, they're not going to, well, as they say, for weal or woe, for better or for worse, they're not going to focus too much on business. They're just going to focus on their part. But that does not mean that they're going to stay focused just on science. They will also want to have some business influence over the project they are inventing.
All right. They may even operate their own investment funds. So the opportunity to secure the very best 1 to 2% of the IP rich projects from the top universities is actually very limited outside
I
of their
bet I could
existing
make it while
operations.
being drunk.
You think you could do
Yes,
it? Yeah,
yes,
how
I
positive
absolutely.
are you?
Well, it hasn't happened yet.
No.
I've lost a bit of money in this. Well, not a bit, but I'm pretty sure I can make it. Look, all I have to do is do it 100 times, and eventually I'll reach that 1%.
Exactly. One will come through.
Yeah, statistically, out of 100, I'll pick one.
You'd make a phenomenal gambler. We should go to the
I know.
casino. Yeah. As I was saying, 1 to 2% of the rich projects from the top universities, it's very limited outside of their existing operations. Okay. So this is not to say, though, that the approach these universities take is what we could to refer to as the best practice, only that their process and as it stands, it's embedded and it's very, very difficult to change and replace.
My approach to this is not best practice.
No, it's not.
No way.
Lazy, outdated, and old, and you're ruining a lot of businesses.
I guess I shouldn't be trusted with the finances over a business.
No.
And it looks like out of all of the ones that they would be able to give away, that they would not take charge themselves, would be the ones that really are what they would think are not as profitable or well, I guess there are several ways to consider. Some of them are uh, a lot of like the primary reason for this is of course profitability, because this is a business, but also the impact on the outside world. That is sometimes also becomes a consideration for people to invest into projects that they think would make an impact. So I guess stuff like this is what we are left with if they're not being picked up by their own TTOs, which really is the first one. TTO is going to be the first one who is going to get the choice of who it wants to invest into and does not. And then we would really have to pick out of we would have to pick out the projects that are good, but TTOs considered bad. I guess that would be our remains. It's like they get like the lion eats the good part. Fun fact: animals actually eat organs first, and then they leave the meat for everyone else.
I saw
Because,
they ate like eyes and stuff. Or that might have been from a film.
uh, but yeah, actually, organs are very nutritious. It's just us humans who, for some reason, decided not to eat them. But yeah, that's enough for this. So all of this increases really the risk of how we would choose the potential project, and here is really is the meat of the problem. The meat, because we get the meat, not the organs.
So, what is the solution to all of this? Now,
What
Rob,
is it, Noodle? Tell me.
well, I'll tell you what Rob says, because Rob actually
Oh,
personally stated in this blog post that he started working with university technology transfer offices in about 2012 and learned that any solution to the commercialization problem must have three key things. Number one, opportunity. There has to be many, many projects that can be disclosed and validated in an apple for apple sort of like standardized manner. Two, people. You must have experts able to appraise ideas and carry out due diligence on and form teams. And number three, funds. There must be an available pot of cash to back projects in a timely and patient way for the long term. With DeSci, it is focused mainly on point three and perhaps a little on point two, but this is assuming that a partner DAO can attract people who are more than crypto degens looking for an airdrop and flip. And again, that's a big ask, and that's before we consider governance, selection, and investing, etc., etc. Did you know up to 45% of recruiter talent database are dormant? This means 45% of your revenue is left on the table.
wow.
I know, right? But if you repurpose your talent database by redirecting them to nascent industry technology in high growth, you can share a portion of the high growth sweat equity too. How? The Pipe Associate Network. Bring new opportunities to talent within university-born R&D IP startups worldwide and earn a part of the future. Go to our description for the link tree or sign up on www.thepipecompany.co.uk and start your adventure of the future today.
So the result of that is that DeSci movement becomes too one-dimensional in terms of funding and maybe a little bit of people. So hoping that Web3 community can find, form, and finance ideation whilst not considering the potential for fraud, the quality being too poor, and the overall risk, as we talked about before. While the focus on tokenization and funds works, as they are able to fund successfully some projects, what is really missing is the rigor and the assessment of the quality of the project. If that isn't done, then that's essentially a recipe for disaster. And this approach, the different approach to how the industry is doing it right now, is really coming from the fact that the founders lived this TTO, University Transfer Technology Office experience for quite a few years and now really see and know where the problems and opportunities lay. So it's not tokenization for the sake of tokenization. It is more so, and I quote, create a paradigm shift in how university, research and development /IP is realized to deliver commercial, environmental and/or societal impact, reduce risk and increase returns through a systematic, standardized and repeatable methodology. That was a mouthful. And of course, we do believe that the use of DLT, aka distributed ledger technology, and a tokenized ecosystem within our setup companies, which are Pipe Platform, Lab to IPO Pathways, Pipe Exchange, PGF Launchpad, Pipe gDAO, is because it makes the entire system more fair, equitable, open, honest for all of its parties, including stakeholders, members, and investors. But before that, have you heard of a certain logo designer that managed to turn $2,000 into $200,000?
I have not. Please tell me more.
Oh, well, his name is Dustin Moskowitz, a simple designer whose genius foresight in an early university startup, Facebook, changed his life. Yes, he designed the Facebook logo. And you can do this too by contributing to nascent technology startups from universities of today through Pipe Associate Network. Find out how you can get started today by going into the description, our link tree, and look for www.arbato.io/pan.
And within that DAO, we have our sort of own mission, vision, and values. Our mission being to grow the unique potential of academic R&D through a purposeful and committed process that helps to develop world-class businesses in the future. That's the main aim, tackle the European paradox and sort of build these big businesses, not just within Europe, but around the world that can be started in university labs. Number two, obviously, is vision. It's to be able to support viable innovation and aspiration of academics with a simplified approach to funding via the revolutionary Pipe platform.
Revolutionary.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
And then obviously our values to embrace openness and honesty with our employees and customers in a fair and balanced way. Just pretty much the only way DeSci really works is if you can rigorously qualify ideation before it becomes a project, which is obviously leverage deep domain knowledge and experts to support due to diligence. Assume that projects may be served if licensed to a third party or created.
And we have a big graph here on the blog that would be a little bit difficult to explain it in its entirety in a podcast. I suggest you go to the blog and actually read it. It has quite a few details on idea onboarding. We have the Lab to IPO website, which then if you go there and register and perform a KYC, you can get to the disclosure of project details. But that's on the client side. On their side, they are actually performing disclosure, what is more detailed between themselves, Lab to IPO, and the project. They have a rigorous review, project analysis. There's the Pipe ecosystem, including IP creator, corporate partners, observers, associates, commercial partners. There's decision-making type of graph. There's investing. There's standard reporting, which is quite a few pages long. There's IP protection. And again, you really have to see it to be able to understand it. So Rob says, in the rush for Web3, to do something new and integrated tokenization to be a more fair to all parties, we seem to skip from one new idea to the next without much thought of what we are doing. And the risk of it all is that we end up doing nothing. And Web3 provides us with a great opportunity to get to realize this untapped potential that has been out of reach of a lot of us for a very long time. So our pipe ecosystem is a solution that opens up the DeSci community as well as ReFi and SocialFi community and all its members and brings together IP creators and IP exploiters in a marketplace where they can collectively solve the biggest issues that our planet is facing, as well as realize the biggest opportunities for wealth creation, whether that you are a researcher, inventor, investor, just a simple community member, or an expert in your field, a university, or just an average Joe on the street. The pipe ecosystem is designed to be built around you, whoever you may be. And you can go to our socials, join our DAO, and have a look at all of them. And in fact, if you want to know more about the projects that are listed, you can go all the way to Lab 2 IPO and do a little simple KYC that is quite quick and gain access to some of the files, sign the NDA, of course, and then they gain access to some of the presentations that are available for those projects. And we'll see each other in the next episode.
Yes, we will.